Hello, my name's Amin Chehal, and I am the founder of Cleantech. I am a deeply flawed human being and not very smart to begin with, but if you have arrived here through some miracle and you do not believe in climate change or clean tech, nobody really cares about your opinion anymore. And if you're here because you want to educate yourself on climate change or clean tech, this is the wrong presentation. I've got some other writing that you probably want to look at. I don't know everything, but what I do know is that I'm not proud of the things that I don't know, and I don't like to pretend that my ignorance is smart. This is in a nutshell who I am. You can pronounce my name however you want to pronounce my name. I really don't care. I also don't give a shit about my pronouns. If you're from here, you probably know very obviously what I look like and I sound like, but I honestly don't care about this. My political strategies are irrelevant to the state of the world today. I am a long-time 20-year vet, basically, in the sustainability fight here in Canada. We started on the ground when the powers that be were greenwashing the industry, and it looks like they greenwashed the Paris Accords. I think Saudi Arabia was involved in the last meeting, so I was like, okay, let's do something different. I'm proposing the development and creation of a private sector initiative under the banner of a Cleantech Commercialization Consortium. I am not married to this name. I just liked having the C cubed in there because I enjoy math. Okay, so let's talk real quickly about a history lesson here. SDTC predates the Paris Accords. It actually developed in 2002. Canada had a huge lead on developing clean tech, largely because we have both the worst people in Canada who like to hate the planet, and we have the best people in Canada who like to save the planet. So the best people in Canada created SDTC in 2002 through an extremely nerdy endeavor, and then the worst people took it over after 3 governments. The reason SDTC is important from the global side of things is because it's the first clean tech fund that has already gone through what every other fund is going to go through, so we can catch the problem before it happens to the other government funds. If you're a government funder and you're watching this video, listen, we can talk separately of how to do government funding. A lot of what I'm going to say here does translate over to the creation of a new government fund that would also be very similarly run. In fact, it might be a call to make the actual due diligence process of all of these technologies come under one centralized banner and have a number of different ombudsmen to just do the checks and balances. But let's get back to this. So basically what happened is SDTC was formed, and then from the way that SDTC forms, nobody cares. It forms out of ISET. You know what? I'm the only one that gives a shit about this. Basically, SDTC forms, and then the same format is copied and pasted across a number of different federal funds, including the incentive schemes that were materially responsible for causing the subprime derivatives collapse in 2009. So basically, just imagine the worst thing that they could possibly have done from the incentives and the bonus structures, and that is what's running this industry right now. Once we get the federal funding from the middle of the segment, we end up in the provincial funds, also equally designed off of a copy and paste model, and then you end up in this hilarious situation where Canada apparently has 328 incubators and accelerators, none of which anybody knows about, and they are all run by experts. Canada has no unicorns, but it is definitely running 328 incubators and accelerators led by experts. So the reason this is important is because as part of the Paris Accords, every country has to keep upping the ante on showing how much money they're spending for climate change remediation, in some way mitigation, and a lot of countries are just sending the money out the door, and that's basically how the executive team at SDTC was incentivized. They were just incentivized to show that they had spent the money. There's no tracking on GHGs actually saved. This is really important because eventually SDTC's executives just started to give the money to each other. They just created multiple other funds off of this one fund and just punted. They would just watch the Valley folks, and they would talk like the Valley folks, and then they would act exactly like the Valley folks and investors, which is not a healthy thing for climate change, clean tech. There's no checks and balances in here. If you look at the right-hand side here now where it says why it matters. Basically what they've accidentally created. I would say that they did this on purpose, but listen, nobody's that smart. You got to be really, really smart to be this stupid. So basically they created a pyramid scheme in Canada, and the pyramid scheme now feeds the private sector, the private investor industry. And since no one has seen an industry have to retool itself at a global scale before, private investors are like, we don't know what's going on, and no one can blame them because, frankly, SDTC's executives themselves did not know how they were doing due diligence. So you can't really blame the investors. But what we're getting now is the investors can't tell like what is shit and what is chocolate, and so they are not looking at this buffet, thinking that they're going to get what they're going to get, and they're just avoiding it altogether. The back of the envelope math from the Canadian side looks at this. This is just given my personal experience in this industry. Oh my God, $74 billion of Canadian taxpayer money is right now trapped in inefficient funds, basically. So it's not moving, it's not materially impacting the economy. It's creating a large amount of inefficiency. And if anybody is watching the numbers in Canada, our economy is in the shitter. I'm recording this from the second most unemployed city in Canada. The incentive to not do anything is low-key. Dead planet, estimated survival rate 0, estimated years in the Ice Age 500. There is only one indigenous tribe in Australia who knows how to survive the Ice Age. Maybe somebody should make them a call, or by then Elon Musk will have established a colony, hopefully, on Mars, and at least we know that the species will survive in his image. Okay, the Cleantech problem, the Valley of Death. Oh, good God. I'm not going to go to the Valley of Death. If you're in Cleantech and you don't know the Valley of Death, then you are not in Cleantech. So go Google it. Basically, our biggest problem right now is happening at that product development has finished. Product is good. Product is wanted. Manufacturers are looking at this, wanting to put it into other products of their own, and then we end up in this place where it's like, well, we got to scale from bench to manufacturing so other manufacturers can use this. So there is a lot of pull to get these products out, but now these entrepreneurs who have spent sometimes 10 years developing a very, very advanced technology are having to understand manufacturing processes. The easier thing to do would just be to get these manufacturers and set up decentralized manufacturing facilities. I would recommend, just because I love electricity way too much, I would recommend that the manufacturing hubs be created around the transmission network, most likely co-generating or closely generating income next to a generating plant. And that way what you've got is you're solving a bunch of different problems on the electricity side. If anybody wants to talk about electricity with me, you know what, you probably don't want to. I can talk about electricity for hours. All right, so the Cleantech solution. So this is a really quick industry to fix, actually, because the biggest problem in this industry right now is that people don't want to say that women should have equality. And the problem in this specific industry is we cannot talk about women's issues. But equality means that 40% of women are entrepreneurs in this sector. They outperform the market by 68%, and 97% of the money at every stage. So from at stage 1, 90% of the funding is going to men. At stage 2, 97% of the funding is going to men. At stage 3, 97%. So you can imagine what this pipeline looks like. If you want to have a conversation about what women are doing in this sector, you can call Belmont Forum to discuss the women's issues. But if you want to make more money very, very easily, then all we need to do is start using analytics and do double-blind investments. These strategies were created originally. There are some places like Social Capital who did have, you know, a more strategic lens on using analytics early on. It doesn't look like Social Capital is continuing on with that strategy though, but I think the genesis of using analytics here is extremely smart. By using analytics and making all investments double blind, we kind of have a bias towards technology adoption and commercialization, which is extremely important because all you need to do right now is kind of focus in on that commercialization question. Just because something is cool and nice and novel does not make it commercializable. It makes it a science project. Solution 2, women and POCs have no access to funding. This is really important because if you look at the market for clean tech right now, you're hitting all the equatorial regions. And if you can't sell to the people who look like that, then you cannot sell clean tech. All the investors need to get education on the regulatory environment. Regulations are extremely so the way I would position this is basically up until now we have been funding technologies that are not in regulated industries. The clean transition signifies a really, really interesting tipping point from the perspective of investments, because what you're looking at now is now you actually have to learn how to do the business of investing. This is where you're going to get your smart MBAs, your smart policy students stepping up. So the age is going to be about degrees and education again. Sorry, Valley, just because you know how to code does not mean you are going to be rich. Solution 4, get the large manufacturers to be salespeople. Listen, I have done sales in the clean tech utility space. I have done sales in many, many different places. I can assure you that nobody likes Salesforce. Salesforce is the most hated thing for a salesperson. If you are GE and you're one of these large companies, you already paid and trained your salespeople to be tortured on this thing. So they low-key don't have a desire to live anymore. So why don't we just use these guys and start doing a sales pipeline strategy? You can have a contract-based a strategy to be able to sell the technologies from the entrepreneurs and then charge them a fee, like a one-off fee effectively, or a contract fee that enables them to be able to tap into your sales networks, which are going to be a lot more advanced than their sales networks. The other thing we need to do is get the first 10 customers. Once we get to the first 10 customers, you guys are going to be way more savvy at coming up with the first 10 customers than an entrepreneur who's just figuring out that, microwaves don't actually melt plastic the way that they thought they would, and so they need to retool their machine. So we need the first 10 customers signed. Once we get the first 10 customers signed, it's going to be your sales team that actually advises people to say, listen, this industry is going to grow very, very fast. Like, we're based on the ease of the sale, we can start to look at this and say, okay, should we be creating SPACs so we can now create sort of a consortium type of effect around an industry segment? And then the SPAC's advantage is that it kind of gives you a regulated rate of return. It looks like a utility model from electricity. Listen, I love electricity. Nothing as boring as electricity. It's just wonderful. Everything works as it should until now. So use SPACs to be able to create this, a regulated rate of return, and then why make money hard when you can make money easy peasy? I like easy things. So the first thing is we need like 6 basic stages to go through, and everybody can make money in every single one of these stages. The first one is, okay, if you're a founder and you don't have skin in the game, you're not a founder. If you're working on a university campus and you're in a comfy job, you're not really doing the founder work, then you need to understand that you are a professor who has a great technology that needs to be commercialized. You have to be able to understand what your entry level is going to be and where your exit's going to be. Because if you're not going to think about your exit sooner rather than later, then your entire company model is going to be wrong. So figure out where you want to be. Do you want to play as a CEO? Do you want an exit quickly? Do you want to sell your IP? All of this is game, and I think this should be part of this consortium so that we can mobilize science and a lot of the strides that we've taken in this sector into the economy. The second thing is brain of the game. Start using analytics. If you're not using analytics on your sector research, then I have no idea what you're doing in. And the way that this should work is that if you're an entrepreneur and you're studying your own analytics, feed those into this consortium that we create out of nowhere. And then the consortium can push out policy documents by correlating those, hopefully across geographies. The smartest thing to do right now is to create an international coalition of private actors who want to do this, and that way we can just speed it up. The third thing is build your resume. Listen, if you're not studying regulations, if you're not studying some of these commercialization things, you need to be able to understand how business cycles work, how procurement rules work. And if you're not doing your education, then what you're going to run the risk of is acting like somebody else's job in the ecosystem is easier than yours. Everybody's doing a part. Everybody should do their own part. Learn about what the other people are doing. Have some kind of founder school. You can build it off of the model for Y Combinator, but it would not be at all what Y Combinator is doing, because Y Combinator is extremely streamlined to software type of technologies, and this is a hardware issue. This is regulations. You need people with degrees to do this. The fourth thing that you need to do is get a job. We need to get the first 10 customers. So you need to be working hand in glove with your sales team, or get the contracted sales team from some of these larger manufacturers and people who are used to selling at that scale, and kind of understand where those customers are coming from. If you're not thinking about your customer on day one, then you are not doing your job. 5, salary expectations. Listen, we're going to have a lot of different types of exits happening in the clean tech industry very, very quickly here. We've got a lot of fat companies that are going to go out PE style. We've got a lot of companies that just have way too many people in the company because of the nature of the funds and how the funds incentivized building fat companies as opposed to lean companies. So we're going to have some M&As going on. There are some people who do have extremely great companies, and those are going to unicorn if we can do this properly. And no one cares where they unicorn because a unicorn is a unicorn, and all that means is that the tech was adopted. The sixth thing you want to care about is pay it forward. All of you old people, GE, 3M, Siemens, you guys have grown up. You did your midlife crisis already, so it is time to become the teacher. You know the procurement rules. You understand how the game is played at the government level. You know what you're doing. It's time to start teaching this stuff and to start using some of your clout in the industry to push these technologies forward. From the back end, you can oftentimes just have your own investment shop and then look at whether or not you're gonna absorb a technology. I worked for a company called Opus One that got bought out by GE. So a lot of these companies are playing in the clean tech segment. They are interested in it. So why don't we just kind of do it together, and then everybody can make money wherever you want to make money. This sector is about to blow up in terms of investment ability and cash possibilities. Okay, consortium needed. This is my high-level proposal for this. Obviously, I'm not the smartest person here. I'm just the first person to make the video. We need entrepreneurs. Listen, anybody, if you're in Canada today and you're working, you are the least productive workforce of all time. The rest of us are entrepreneurs. Established tech firms. We need all of these. And I just put a few examples here. I probably even forgot a whole bunch. Like Samsung should be a part of this. Apple has nothing to offer in this thing, so I don't know what they would do. But if they wanted to, we should include Apple in this. I really don't care what the company is. All I care about is that they're an established technology firm. They understand the rules, they understand the regulation environments, and they understand the procurement rules, and they want to play and sort of diffuse clean technologies across the world. Investors willing to learn. There's two groups of investors: the investor that wants to teach, and the investor that wants to learn. The investor that wants to learn is going to be the one that's going to help us. If you are an investor who wants to sound cool and have buzzwords, please invest in AI. That industry is also going to take off. So will quantum computing. You guys know what those things are. Just quantum, boson, qubit. You're good to go. And in the investor side of things, when we get the 5% management fee, this is a really interesting thing because the 5% management fee is currently being used for no good reason. You're just using it to man people, when the real advantage of having that 5% management fee is to build out an analytics policy shop. So there could almost be a consortium effect of different investment shops linking in together and sharing that kind of knowledge in sort of a free university by having that 5% management fee, and then just kind of creating a think tank around this. Ombudsmen for government funds. Government funds are not going to go away. In fact, if you're in the government funding space and you're interested in creating a new fund, please call me and I will tell you what not to do based on the SDTC stuff. I have read every single one of the contribution agreements, the parliamentary acts. I even have a whole bunch. I don't know why I took a contribution agreement at one point to read. It was just fascinating to me, and they're very similar to the contribution agreements or the templates that you'll get from ISET and different. You know what? I should stop talking about the details. No one cares about this. And then the other thing that we kind of need, we need an ombudsman for these funds. And the reason we need an ombudsman is because we need to increase the transparency in this sector. An ombudsman should also be transparent enough to then punt the investment to the investor group. So basically what we need is more talking between these two things. A government agency that passes on an investment, an entrepreneur should have the ability to say, can you reassess this? And that should be done from an independent ombudsman who then uses the exact same expert trail that we have created on the blockchain, hopefully double blind, and be able to get a verified answer on that. And then if the government fund says, hey, listen, I get it, the ombudsman says that it is a good technology, we just can't fund it, then we should have first dibs from the investor side to look at that same technology and say, okay, we'll take it. And then with the government funds, you get non-dilutive capital. With the investor funds, obviously you get dilutive capital. The government funds should also consider doing this in a private sector way so that you are getting something for what you're putting in. Israel does an interesting thing with how it funds companies that then if they leave, then they take money back. I think given the state of Canada and how Canada is extremely good at inventing things, we should take something like a safe position or a convertible debt position when we are giving money at the front end. The same amount of money, just blanket like 5% or whatever, and then it'll be like a multi-million-dollar paycheck though. So we should be doing something like that so that we can replenish our tax base and public service, which is now just I'm having to pay 25 cents extra so that Edmonton can when I get French fries from McDonald's, so Edmonton can pay the bills. We also need an anonymous whistleblower hotline. As a surviving whistleblower to the SDTC file, I have deep sympathy for the gentleman they killed at Boeing because nothing was wrong. Clearly, great engineering was done at Boeing. That is exactly how you should be doing engineering, by sending up a space shuttle that loses 17% of its nacelles. Phenomenal job. Effectively, we need this to be anonymous because a lot of times we're seeing people at the front line in those control rooms who are manning those technologies saying, listen, if we put the RPMs down to a certain degree, you're going to run this cleaner, leaner, it'll be better, more efficient. And those people are being overruled by bad managers. And so what they need to do is be able to tell somebody what's going on. In addition, companies that are trying to innovate and do some interesting stuff, say you've got like an oil and gas company that's trying to do something, they should be able to publish the results, not just of things that worked, but also of things that did not work. Because what somebody else can do then is be like, okay, these guys tried this, it didn't work, but can we modify it in some way to work for us? And then all of this stuff should be run on analytics. I'm not very smart about the rest of this, but analytics I understand quite significantly, and I volunteer to do this job because I'm volunteering to do all of this. This is my actual weird resume. I've got sort of a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Alberta. I've worked aviation and oil and gas. I've got MBA from Ivy, of kind of specialization in strategy and financing, and then I've got a public policy degree in disruptive technology adoption from Carleton. This is kind of my bread and butter. I am apparently obsessed with climate change. If this is of interest to you, I will leave a calling card. Please let me know if you're interested in joining this. I have no idea how to get this off the ground. I just created the video, and then after this video I'm just going to go talk to a bunch of people. So if you're one of the people that want to talk to me, it'd be great to get this conversation rolling at a much more larger scale. And please duck. Don't let the Canadian government know that you care about climate, and don't let them know that we are doing this efficiently. Peace out.